Hello and welcome to episode 194 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're your source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right, just a couple of regular guys drinking some irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client, MTG Arena.
That's right, and we are putting a little bow on the last set that came out. Tarkir Dragonstorm. We're wrapping it up. We are in full swing of Final Fantasy previews. The card image gallery is coming out this weekend, and then we're going to go straight into all of our pregame and then first sips episodes after this. So we have to say goodbye to Tarkir Dragonstorm, and we're going to do that with our patented happy hour episode. Before we get into that, each week we bring a beer, we drink it, we rate it on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. So with that, Jeff, what's on tap?
Alrighty, so early this year, went on a trip to Abu Dhabi, and I visited the only brewery in the UAE and possibly beyond. I never looked up, like, how far the next closest brewery in the Middle East is. But, I bet you have to go pretty far, right? Because the UAE borders Saudi Arabia, and it's probably the only brewery for a very, very great distance. Um, and so we tried one of their beers before, but we have another two here. They are small cans, which is why we're doing two. And so we have brought El Jefe, Mexican style lager from Side Hustle, the brewery in Abu Dhabi, and Jet Lag Relief, which is a pale ale. We'll start with El Jefe, the Mexican style lager. I thought this one was interesting because it's like the UAE doing a Mexican
That's
beer.
so
It's
good.
about as far as it gets. So let's see if they can really nail that style, despite the geographical distance
Yeah,
between the brewery and where the style originated.
that's true. Well, to our own El Jefe, I think that they did a great job with your mugshot right here on the front.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it
Fantastic.
looks just like me.
Yeah. Nothing
It
like
has a
a
Spanish guitar.
skeleton camel. No, that's like a Dia de los Muertos camel, right? A little
Yeah,
bit?
I
Okay,
think
that's
it's just
funny.
like all of the like Mexican stereotypes crammed into one can, and then
Yeah,
it's like
we have a little
camels.
camel with like a sombrero and a cigar.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's great. Uh, love it. Let's crack this thing open and cross our fingers, I guess.
Yeah.
As this is not our first beer that we're trying from this brewery. Um, and you can go back and hear our thoughts on the last time we tried this brewery, if you
That's
would
right.
like. Do I remember the episode number? I do not, but
Nope.
you can find it.
Just
All
listen to
right.
all of them again.
Yeah, it's true. Just listen to every single one all over again. Well, with that, normally we have some magic news, but really the biggest news is that, hey, Final Fantasy's happening. It's coming up real fast. Technically, it releases on Arena June 10th, but we're going to be starting to talk about it next week, and then, of course, the following week, because that's June 10th. So, very
Wow.
exciting stuff, but
Yep.
don't want to jump into the future too quickly, because Tarkir Dragonstorm feels like it just kind of started, and this is the beginning of our cadence for new sets.
It's fast. I mean, we've been saying this for a long time, I guess, but it's fast.
Yeah. This one is very fast. Because this is the first year we're getting 6 standard sets a year, so there's nothing we get to really skip as far as supplementary products go. And it's I don't know, it feels fast, but also because like we're talking about it a lot, and we're I know playing in tournaments or like I'm streaming and stuff like that. It doesn't feel as fast because we're constantly talking about it and thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it's not bothering me nearly as much, but that could be because I have a bunch of stuff I'm doing for the Final Fantasy set. So maybe that's part of it, but
That's
every
already
two,
checked out. He's moved on.
well, every 2 months is, that's a big cadence right there. As
Yeah.
opposed to be fair, I do appreciate the like 8 weeks or 9 weeks apart kind of thing, as opposed to what they were doing before, which was like 12 weeks, 8 weeks, you know,
Yeah.
like this weird accordion thing of like the
This one's
sets.
6 for some reason,
And you're
you
just
know.
like, wow, this one felt short, but this one felt so long. That was like 3 months of Streets
Yeah.
of New Capena. And then, stuff like that where you're just like, God, give me something.
That was a
Uh,
tough time. Streets of
so
Nuka.
it was a pretty tough summer. So I really appreciate the kind of like consistent beat of the drum. So maybe
I get
that's
that.
what I'm appreciating right now is that like yes they are fast, yes the turnover's quick, and if you're not super excited about Final Fantasy, I think you should try it out. But if that's not your jam, you don't have to wait that long until there's the next thing. So
Yeah.
there is
I think I'll
that.
really feel that pulse in the summer
Hmm.
because summer is always when there's like the big lull where you just get nothing.
Hmm.
So that'll make be when I'm like, whoa, this is different
Yeah,
because
I
I just
mean,
get it 2 months later.
exactly. Yeah, instead of waiting for like the end of August into September for the new set, it's like end of July, early August we get the new set. So it's like a
Right.
full month back. They're not trying to do it like with the school year, which is what they used to do.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that
Because
was
this would be like, kicking off the new set essentially
mhm,
next week. And then that'd be it basically till almost September in the
almost
old
September.
system.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like rotation and everything. Like it was crazy, and that was our new Capena issue. So luckily we don't have that, and am interested for the stuff of the future. But Jeff, let's talk about Tarkir, our most recent visit, and this is also kind of pretty momentous because we've been waiting to come back to Tarkir for years, like
Yeah.
many years. So just starting us off, big picture stuff. As far as like coming back to Tarkir, did this feel like a Tarkir set? Like, did we actually did we get to have Tarkir again?
Definitely. Yeah. As someone who like I consider Cons of Tarkir when I started playing Magic again. Like there was some on and offs between then and now,
Mm-hmm.
but the off before that was years and years, and the on and offs between were less. So I always think of like, yeah, it's kind of like my second era of playing Magic really began with Cons. And so this was one of the things that I wanted was a revisit of
Mm-hmm.
this plane because I really just liked it. And this definitely reminded me
Mm-hmm.
of those sets. Like, definitely it leans a little more towards kind of Dragons of Tarkir because there are dragons everywhere. And so it reminds me of like the Tarkir dragons. But there were still cons and there was still, you know, it just had that vibe for sure. And all of the mechanics they chose for the different wedges
Yes.
vibed with like how I think of that wedge.
Mm-hmm.
So they played different a little bit because of those mechanics. I think Jeskai was sort of the most changed from its previous one in terms of like how you play it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it still wasn't necessarily that different, right? Because Jeskai always kind of wanted you to have these bursty turns because of prowess. So it was, yeah, I think in terms of the feel of the set, they really nailed it. This felt like a Tarkir set. It felt like an appropriate return to Tarkir. I think there were like in terms of hitting the characters and stuff, like who did people want to see again and all that. Um, I think the one thing I can think of on that front is like I wish Sidisi didn't like suck so bad,
CDC
but
sucks so bad. I
that was just
was,
so random. It's just like terrible across the board in every format, and that was a card I
it's-
really really liked from cons. Like
mm-hmm.
I played that thing in standard. Sidisi Whip was a really
Mm-hmm.
popular deck at that time, where you like Sidisi would mill stuff and you'd whip them back with Whip of
Mm-hmm.
Erebos. Shit would pop off. So I was kind of like coming into the set, I'm like, oh, I wonder if Sidisi's going to be in it. And then I saw the card, I was like, what the fuck is that? But that was the only thing that like sticks out to me is like some people might have been disappointed by your treatment of
Yeah.
the
Well,
character.
you. Some people it includes you. You were
Yeah,
disappointed.
because I was like, maybe I'm gonna build some random Sidisi jank deck in standard if they give just reprint it. I'll be happy with that. But
Mm-hmm.
then No,
No.
they had to print
Well,
whatever that was.
but to be fair, okay. No, I mean this isn't to try to save Sidisi because I do not like that card. Because it was horrible in draft too. It's just a terrible card. I'm
It's
not
bad in draft,
sacrificing.
bad in like competitive constructed. It seems bad in commander. I don't know why this card exists, but
It's just like, oh, do you want birthing pod for your graveyard that's slow? And you're like,
yeah,
no, I don't. And you're like, well,
yeah.
you have it now. Um, but no, you did say at the beginning of the format that you played a lot of Anafenza, and
Hmm.
that there's a new Anafenza that's like a spirit. And was that like you've been playing a lot of Anafenza, right? And I'm assuming that your feelings are kind of the same. That she's awesome.
Love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
still love Anafenza. Yeah, Sidisi was the only miss for me.
yeah. Well, that's pretty good. Only one miss. That's great. So the it just I'm just thinking about you being like, because I didn't hear you talk about Zadisi like when we came into the set. You had never mentioned anything off air to me. This is the first time I've heard you talk about how frustrated you are by that card, which to me was, I just saw the card and was like, oh, I wish this was better, but whatever.
You're like, yeah, that card
Um,
sucks, but moving on.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you're like, my boy, what have they done to my boy?
Yeah. Oh, I had a wild like Sidisi living lore Whip of Erebos thing going on back in the day, so
Okay, all
um,
right.
it was fun. So I just liked the original Sidisi, and this
Hmm.
was like they didn't just make it bad; they made it like really bad, and then also like confusingly bad. Like,
Hmm.
why? That was
Why?
my only question about the card. My best guess is it was once more powerful, but it got
Axed and axed.
like just axed and axed and axed through the process, right? Like it just got nerfed
Well,
like
it's just,
crazy, and they just shipped it as is. But
I don't know, because it almost, to me, it doesn't even seem like it's that. Like maybe the activate as a sorcery was part of the thing that was making them like pull it back. Because if you could like at least wait, you play it, you wait a whole turn, and then whenever they try to kill your stuff, you just get to turn it into something else. But you have to have like mana value one more in your graveyard. Like there's so much setup, and you can't even do like a blink your removal spell basically.
yeah,
There's
or
like a
maybe it was
bit.
like they had the idea, oh, what if you did this birthing pod from the graveyard thing? That would be
Yeah,
really cool. Like, what would that go on? Well, it's Sidisi, and
I think
Sidisi
that's.
Whip was the deck that, and then they sort of realized late in development that it's lame. But it's like, let's just ship it.
I think that sounds a little bit more like it to me, because there was a card in Foundations that did a similar type of thing that was really strong. It was called Abyssal Harvester. It's
Hmm.
like that 3 mana 3/2 that you like exile a card from your graveyard and you make a token with it. That was like
Oh,
so much better.
that card was
Um,
great in
and you could only have
draft.
one token at a time. Yeah, it was great in draft, and like it there felt like there was a dream in standard. It didn't really get there, but like there's something.
Yeah.
You do have to wait a whole turn, but at least you get to do something with it. If Sidisi was closer to something like that, because Whip does a similar thing, I don't know. It just, the birthing pod
Yeah.
part just, I don't know why we added the birthing pod part, but
It was definitely someone's cool idea to do birthing pod of your graveyard, and then
yeah.
this
Sorry
is what.
if that was you. I'm sorry for ripping on your idea, but I think you've already realized that by now.
Yeah.
Um, Not every idea is great. It's all right.
Yeah.
You just ruined Jeff's favorite card. So,
I hate it now.
yeah,
So
the entire set, not just the DC. But no, I completely agree with you as far as like the whole overarching ideas. The one thing I want to say with this set is that like going into it, when I was thinking about what my favorite archetype was going to be, I'm drafting a lot, obviously, but in general, I was thinking, well, a lot of times, like my favorite things to do in like OG Tarkir was like either I'm doing a bunch of Soul Tie big stuff, or I'm doing like Mardu aggressive things, or like I really liked the white black deck,
yeah.
and the Warriors thing. And then this set, it felt like completely on its head, where it was like, yeah, I could play Boros, but I don't really want to. And my favorite deck was Jeskai. And I never did I think Jeskai was going to be my favorite. I never liked Jeskai decks. And
Yeah.
it was so much fun. I could not stop drafting Jeskai over and over again. If it started to open up, I'm like, baby, here we go. We're going back. Let's do it again.
Jeskai was fun. I when I went to the cons, I think it was the cons pre-release.
Hmm.
Or did I might not have started playing and then. I might have caught cons during draft. So it would have been the Fate Reforged pre-release, I guess. But you got to pick your wedge.
Yeah.
And I picked Jeskai because I was like, oh, I think that makes the most sense. Like, I really liked to, you know, have combat matter, and I liked blue at the time. So I was like, this is the one for me. And then I ended up liking um, Teamer, I think, in that coming out of like that format, I liked
Hmm.
Sultai and Teamer, but I think I was playing Teamer in standard and stuff, even though that wasn't a deck, nobody else was. So
Hmm.
um, I
That's
came,
probably
like
why.
went in assuming I wanted Jeskai and came out Teamer, and then for this one, uh, I went in assuming that I would want to play like Abzan or something,
Hmm.
and again, I think my favorite deck in this format is Teamer. So
That is that. I just think that's so funny because I went to the pre-release for this. I never went to the pre-release for any of the cons block because I had come back right after. I actually did a
right.
draft of like Origins literally right after this, but
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're like I bought a box with some friends or something. But for this pre-release for Tarkir Dragonstorm, I went to the shop. I got Teamer, and
Hmm.
nobody wanted to be Jeskai. And basically, I'm coming out of it now being like, man, I should have just been Jeskai. That looked fun. So it's so funny that
I think I'm just a Teamer guy somehow, even
yeah,
though it doesn't have black in it, which is weird.
that's true. Black is
Feels
your
weird to
favorite,
play
but
a deck
like,
that's not black.
yeah. And I don't know. It's funny. I have a friend who like we're always talking about what our favorite colors are and stuff. And I always think of him as such a big blue player because like I just remember him playing blue decks or he did a lot of blue shenanigans stuff. And he's like, "No, you're the blue player. You're always playing blue cards." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't play blue cards. I don't care about blue cards." And then like every single time I like in a sealed thing or in a draft, I'm like, "God damn it, I'm playing blue again. What the fuck? I'm
Always
not a
blue.
blue player."
Classic Zach.
Yeah. And then he walks over, he's like, "Classic Zach, always playing
Blue
blue." I'm
Mage
like, "God
Zach.
damn it." I like counter a spell. He's like, "Classic Zach, always countering my spells with his blue cards." I'm like, "I'm not a blue player." Except
That's
for
how
Jeskai
Zach
is awesome.
realized he's a Simic mage.
No, don't say that. I do Simic way too much when I'm in sealed. It always happens. Chaos draft, I fall into Simic every time, and I'm like, what is happening?
You
Because
just
I'm
need to
like,
embrace it. You're just a Simic guy. It's
I'm
okay. It's
classically,
like getting sorted into Hufflepuff. Just you just
oh,
gotta embrace it.
blech, what a horrible. Ugh. What did they ever do? Have Cedric degree and then he just dies?
Yeah.
Useless. Like they don't do anything else. Hufflepuffs are great finders, though. That's for sure. But anyway, for the actual set, I mean, we were talking about limited. I am interested in going over our Pack Zero Pick One challenge because this is the time we really do it. We do a little check in during our draft episode, which is like a week into the format. But now that we're kind of towards the end, I've run the numbers
These are the
on
results.
these are the results of our Pack One Pick One challenge or Pack Zero Pick One challenge, where we pick all the best commons basically of the set and then one of the best uncommons, and we try to pit our skills against each other. It's a very fun challenge to do, and it's really hard when you've never played with any of the cards because obviously the format has a lot to do with whether cards are good or not. And it's like you don't know if the Mind Rot variant will be good or not. Most of the time, not.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it's like crazy, and you just don't know. You just don't know.
It's so hard. Yeah.
It's an extremely hard game. Okay, so we picked a lot of the same cards this time,
Hmm.
which was kind of unfortunate because it felt a little shall we say, anticlimactic when we were kind of figuring
Yeah.
things out. And it kind of, as we went down, made it feel like we should try to pick different cards. But I have one huge frustration with myself that I should have just pivoted to something that made more sense, but I didn't. But Jeff, while I'm stewing on that, do you want to read out your list? Just which cards you picked?
Okay, I picked Storm Plane Detainment as the best white common, Sibsig Appraiser for blue, Dragon's Prey for black, Molten Exhale for red, Piercing Exhale for green, Evolving Wilds as my non-monocolor
Hmm.
uh, common. Miscellaneous common, I chose Caustic Exhale. And then for my gold signpost, I chose Twin Maw Storm Brood. And then there's a tiebreaker. You choose a rare. I picked Scavenger Regent.
Yeah, that's right. So I picked a lot of the same ones. For white, I did Salt Road Pack Beast, and then going down, I did Sipsic Appraiser, Dragon's Prey, Molten Exhale. I chose Snakeskin Veil as opposed to Piercing Exhale. Also picked Evolving Wilds, then did Stormplane Detainment at the end. And this last one, the gold signpost, could either be, it's a two-color card, so it's either one of the signpost gold cards or one of the Storm Broods. I was It was a toss up for me between a couple things, and I almost picked the Golgari signpost uncommon, the disruptive Storm Brood that also black kills a creature, which
Oh,
would have
yeah.
been a great pick, really solid pick, and I wish that I did that instead of what I
Mhm.
picked, which is Marshal of the Lost, which is one of my worst cards.
Ooh.
Ended up being too expensive for the aggressive decks. Also, that was white black was just you
Yeah.
wanted to be white, red, and then maybe have some black cards if you're trying to be really aggressive with this. It was a totally fine card. It's the one that, like, when you attack, your attacking creatures get plus X equals the number of attacking things.
Yeah.
It does some work, but it wasn't necessary compared to your
That's
card,
what I
which
was gonna
was.
say. Necessary. Like it
Mhm,
feels often when I've seen it, it either does nothing, right?
mhm.
Because they're not
It's just
attacking
a.
me, or it feels win more because like they were already
Mhm,
beating me down anyways.
yes. So I think that Twin Moss Storm Brood was phenomenal, and a lot of decks wanted that. Because it just turns out it's one of the biggest dragons. It's in white. It's one of the. It's like the biggest dragon. It gains 5 life, and you're dealing 5 damage to something. You don't kill dragons with it, but still, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then for my tiebreaker, I picked Meringue River Regent, which I just wanted to point out. Your tiebreaker, Scavenger Regent, which was not the best black rare. Meringue River Regent was the best blue rare, the most winningest on 17 lands. But I just thought it was so funny that in our RCQ we opened those cards in our pools. Like
I know.
you
I
opened,
screwed myself. I
yeah.
should have picked a better card here.
I opened 2 Meringue River Regents in that
Yeah.
tournament, and you opened Scavenger Regent. I just think that's so funny, and I completely forgot which card you picked until I was looking back on it, and I was just like,
Yeah,
"That's
I forgot
so
too. And
cool!
I was like, of course. Yeah,
What
that
a
is
funny
funny.
thing."
It would have been funnier if we opened each other's choices. That would have been
would it
cool.
would it be funnier? I don't know. I think it was pretty funny the way it worked out.
Yeah, but then I would have gotten the Meringue River region. So,
Well, I understand that, yeah, and I think
yeah.
it's much better that I got it. So
You don't need two, man.
yeah. Would you want it now? I'll give you one if you want. I'll
No.
give you the foil one. How about that?
No.
Anyway, so that puts our scores at Jeff had we just basically we get the percentages and we just add them up
Yeah.
because it makes it easiest. So of all the percentages, Jeff had 454.8 and I had 449. So Jeff did take the crown for this one. However, I just want to point out that if we were counting the tiebreaker rare cards, Meringue River Regent was so much better than Scavenger Regent that I would have won by like 2 point or
One point. 1.9.
1.9
Yeah.
1.9. So I had a shot. If
Hey, Zach, quick question. The original scores, are they the same? Was it a tie?
They're not the same. It was
Oh,
not a tie.
no. Do we count the tiebreaker
Well,
rare
I
then?
just thought I should mention that because last time we did this for Aether Drift, I blew you out of the water so bad that even with the
I think this is
tiebreaker
my
rare, I
first time.
still beat you.
Yeah.
So I just want
This
to
is my
show that,
first time
like,
winning, so
yeah,
I have to take it. I have
you
to.
do, you do get it. All right, I'll give that one to
But
you.
how about this? Next time I will beat you by so much that even with a better tiebreaker rare, you couldn't
Okay, I
possibly.
like that. All right, yeah, try it. I don't know. It's gonna look really embarrassing because I've already filmed an entire set review for Final Fantasy that's coming out on
See,
Friday.
you're gonna be too in your head on
I
this next one. You'll have too
that
many opinions. You know, it's like when you
it's
draft fantasy football against someone who
mm,
does not know any of the players, and they just like
yes.
take good stuff and end up
Yeah.
winning.
And they just look at all the stats. We're like, well, this player has more stats than the other ones, and then I'm going to
Yeah,
win. It's like, no, 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 but
take that.
then their heart's not in it,
Yeah,
Like, they
they're
just.
injury prone, man. Injury prone.
I don't like that guy because he licks people. Ugh.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Don't
keep
pick
him.
the liquor.
No, no, no. But his stats are really good. It's like, no, no, no. You just by default never pick him.
Yeah,
And then they end up winning the championship, and you're like, God damn it. Turns out that fantasy football is just a bunch of numbers for nerds.
yeah.
That's what it is. Same as Magic. You have all these like
Can't beat an
emotional
algorithm.
with Magic. You have all these like emotional attachments to all these cards when you see them. Like I don't know, in drafts you see something go by, like, oh, but if I had that card, I could make this deck, and then you start building like just a deck that's not there.
Yeah,
You're imagining the cards that you could get, and you're not actually getting them. It's just
for sure.
ugh. Anyway,
I always like think that's why Ben Stark is so good at limited because he's often said like the pictures and the like theme of it that could all be gone and I wouldn't care. Like it's
hmm,
just the numbers on the card and what they do.
yeah,
I was like, no wonder this guy's so good because he doesn't just like randomly chase things he happens to like because they're cool, like
yeah,
in draft, which derails a lot of my drafts,
it's
especially
true.
after
Yeah.
a couple of pops.
Honestly, I think drafts would be a lot easier if there was no rarity symbol. If that was just
Yeah,
gone,
yeah.
you could just read the cards because that
Take whatever card you want.
every once in a while, that mythic symbol just stares at you, and you're like, "What am I
The
doing?"
art's always way more awesome on them too.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta take that
Or it
five
has
color
to be.
enchantment. It's gotta be good. But anyway, Jeff, congratulations on winning the Pack Zero Pick One.
Thank you.
You don't deserve it, but I'll give it to you anyway.
I'll work harder to deserve it next time.
Yeah, you only had to pick 3 of the exhales. It's fine.
Yeah, I should have just picked them all.
They were actually all like the best, basically, except for the white one.
What was the best gold card?
Just the best gold card.
Yeah,
Um,
because Zach will bold the one that ended up being the best, and neither of our choices was the best. So, just curious what the best
I
one
guess
was.
technically I didn't bold all of the. So I couldn't remember if the gold cards. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I was doing it per color, and
Hmm,
I didn't look at all the different colors for all the different things. I think Twin Moss Storm Brood was it was the best one for the ones that were like, I think, touching white, and I don't think that we were picking 3-color cards, right? So
right.
if it was 3-color cards, it was Sonic Shrieker was the best.
Sure, sure.
But
Oh, I see. But this one was like a particular thing that
yes,
doesn't line up with 17 lands.
exactly,
Right.
yeah. So it's considered a white card, but I
Right.
wasn't judging it on that. So that's my little
So
thing.
you would have to like go look at every card that was an option and look at their win rate and sort them
Exactly.
in order
Yeah,
to
yeah.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yes. But I will say that Twin Moss Storm Brood was 58.9%, and Disruptive Storm Brood, which is the one I should have picked, which was 58.4%. Those are the
Oh,
two I was
garbage.
looking at. Oh, okay. Get out of here, Jeff. But no, that's a little peek behind the curtain for you folks that I was just helping out, putting bold on the best cards.
Yeah. I
But
noticed
no,
he bolded Meringue River Regent.
yeah, because it's the best. Yeah. But anyway, as far as like the draft format, I mean, obviously we're going to move on to something else at some point. But do we like it? What came out of the draft for us? Like you we played a tournament. We did a bunch of stuff. What are your feelings now as you've calmed down from the tournament?
I th like so. First off, I did really poorly in this format. I scrubbed that tournament. I scrubbed the thing where you play for boxes. I only
Mm,
like I jumped into one thing on that, but I think I scrubbed out of that. And then I was looking back through our trophies channel. I didn't post any trophies, which I feel like I would have if I got them. So I'm not even sure I trophied in this format. I didn't play a ton, but
mm-hmm,
didn't do super well. Um, that being said, I remember it as being like relatively fun. I just think it's tough when you kind of limit the number of decks to five, because normally the number of possible decks is 10. It feels, it felt like a five deck format, right? Like, I know you can do Boros and stuff like that,
mm-hmm,
but it was kind of all the same cards that the Mardu deck wanted, right? So the Boros wasn't actually its own thing. It was just Mardu that wasn't splashing black because it didn't have to.
mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know, I felt that restriction in the games where it was like, I like it better when there's 10 decks versus five.
Mm-hmm.
I just find the drafts a little more flexible. The whole like try to go into a specific color pair that leads into two different, it feels a little more on rails to me, I guess.
Okay, I can see that for sure. I I feel like I felt like there were a lot of other decks. Like you could play like two color things. One of the ones that like I think Boros is a hard example just because I think that's ultimately what you should have been building Mardu as was basically Boros, splash black for Sonic Shrieker, almost
Yeah.
specifically. But like
Or some
the
crazy rare or something.
yeah. And knowing which crazy rare you're supposed to splash for, that is a skill, I think, because
Sure.
often, like, part of this format was just like either eating your vegetables to just play a couple colors, like two colors instead of three, even though you're seeing these cards that look like they're supposed to be bombs in your deck, but realizing, like, don't put that card in your deck. Don't fuck up your mana to play that card, you know? And just doing that. One of the things you could do is just like there's a Golgari counters deck, so it's like Abzan minus white,
Hmm.
but like if you get enough formation breakers and enough counter synergies with that, you can be really aggressive and really scary. Just doing Abzan-y stuff. If you just get like, don't try to do Revival of the Ancestors or the Felithar thing or any of that stuff. You're just like, no, we just want to put counters on stuff as fast as possible and actually just smash people's faces, which was cool. But ultimately, I will say that you were saying that this format felt like a five deck format, and a lot of the times it kind of almost felt like early on, even it felt like a two deck format where it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
sure.
there's it had the call time problem, which is like you could splash very very easily and do whatever you'd like. Obviously, I was just saying like if you're playing an aggressive deck, you shouldn't be doing that, but there's so many ways to gain life or so many great things that you could do that it was harder to build the aggressive deck that would be able to cut underneath and a lot easier just to play like generically strong cards and play whatever stuff you found, which was my problem with Call Time was it was five colors or Boros, and this kind of had a similar feel to that, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Now that you mention it, I will say it doesn't feel as bad as
Egregious.
Call Time was. Like Call Time was
That's
literally
true.
like that's it. Those were the
I
only you were green splash everything, or
Yeah,
you were uh was it Boros or was it Rakdos in Call Time or
I think it
something?
was Boros because black was pretty bad. I remember.
Right,
Um,
black sucked.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, and you could only play black if you were playing the green go big
And that's
thing.
sort of what my sealed pool was. I mean, it was bad because I didn't have fixing.
Hmm.
Whereas Call Time, I felt like you always had fixing kind of thing. Like everyone was just playing
I
green
I think
splash everything.
I think that your sealed pool specifically was egregious, but I think that fixing was there's a lot of ways to fix in this format. Like we had the common tools, we had evolving wilds, we have the uncommon trilands, we had all the devotees, we had Dragonstorm globes, we had there's a ton of ways to fix your mana. Whether you want to spend your time doing that or not, I don't know. But as far as like
Well, like
splashing for
the
a bunch
decks
of
I would
stuff,
play
right?
against in the sealed events that I played were usually a wedge. Maybe they like would splash, maybe a wedge splash. So what was that called? Uh, like dark Jeskai kind of
Oh,
stuff.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But um, like call time. I remember it was like in sealed. Everyone was five color green, like
Basically, yeah.
everyone all the time. Um, so
And it's
I definitely get what you're like. It definitely felt like that.
mhm.
Uh, but not maybe call time is the example because it was just so bad.
Mhm.
But this had a bit of that call time feel because other people had monuments in their sealed pool. I did not, but
Yeah, but I guess the kind of thing you're saying is that like just playing five colors to play whatever, and the five color deck in this format was specifically dragons. Like you did
yeah,
like not that dragons weren't abundant; they're everywhere and they were important, but the type of five color deck that you're playing has a lot of omen dragons because that's what makes you survive to the late game to actually play all of them and win. And using
yeah,
Dragonstorm globes to make sure that your dragons are slightly bigger than everybody else's, your opponents, so that you can
yeah,
all of your cards are just slightly better. Which is funny because the Dragonstorm globe looked like a horrible card as we started the format, and I
yeah.
thought that it was just egregious. I tend to hate cards that just say there's a dude that's like, "Hey, go search for these two cards." I'm like, "Ugh, that's gonna be horrible."
Yeah.
Ends up being much better and actually performing.
Yeah, there's
It happens all the
every
time.
once in a while, like these things get seeded. They don't do it as much as they used to. They used to love this design where
And that's
they have
probably what
some.
fucked me up is that like they used to be so bad.
They used to seed some garbage creature that goes to pick up some garbage artifact or something for you in every set.
Hmm.
And once in a blue moon, it would be really good. Like it would actually be something you want to be doing in that format. Most of the time, it was janky garbage.
Hmm.
And so I kind of have that bias as well, where when I see stuff like that, I'm like, oh, it's that thing they always do for some reason. But
Hmm.
they actually don't do it that often anymore. They've
Yeah.
realized it's not that fun. Like when it sucks, it's not that fun, and when it's awesome, it's not that fun. So,
Hmm.
but this one was okay. I didn't mind it, and maybe that's just because they don't do it in every set now.
Yeah.
Um, but I definitely have that bias as well, where I'm just like, I assume that's terrible because I used to see this
And
all the
think it
time,
was
and it
good.
always sucked. Like,
But like the ones that we've had recently are like in MKM last year they had like there's that Sphinx thing that would get like the hat and
oh, right,
the
yeah.
spyglass thing, which was not nearly as strong, but it did end up mattering at some point.
Wasn't it just like the Sphinx was fine, and you pick up something, like you
The
pick up
Sphinx
one of
was
those things for
fine,
free, and
and yeah, if you can go tutor up one card, you're like sweet.
you're
And if
like,
you
eh,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
so it wasn't nearly as like, oh, I got this, I'm gonna build my deck around it as this one has been. And Duskborn, we had like the say its name thing, the
oh, sure, yeah,
that green thing, but that was like just play the same cards and you go get to cheat out this big 9/9. But no, the card was good enough that you could never get three of them. It was really difficult to do that
right.
because most decks would just play it by itself, just be like, ah, this is just a good card to play. So yes, this strictly, hey, this is a one drop that goes in tutors, a three drop that goes in tutors, a five drop essentially.
Yeah.
It was better than Sidisi, let's just say that.
Well, if that's the bar, then
Oh
um,
god.
I don't know. Where did you? What do you think overall, though? Did you like the set, or is this kind of
Um,
so-so, or is this an all-time worst Magic set ever?
I think it's kind of just a little bit above medium. I think that people will forever remember Cons of Tarkir as like one of the best limited formats, and there is really no way of changing people's minds anymore.
Mm.
I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to say like, oh, if because I missed the boat. I did play Cons when it was on Arena when they brought it back, and they recently brought it back too. You could play Cons for like the last week or something.
Oh,
The format is fine, I think. As far as like, it's just so different and so much older that it feels so weird, and
yeah.
so slow. And this one, I think, does a good job of like bringing that flavor back. But as far as like a format that I'll come back to a lot, I don't necessarily know if that's true. It doesn't hit like, I still think Duskmorn was way better
That one was great.
because I really liked that. And like, I don't think it had the same color issues as like Aether Drift. As far as like, there's one glaring, obviously great color, but this one again, like, I don't know if it's that call time problem. What I'm probably gonna remember from this draft format is that Jeskai was awesome, and if I ever come back to play this set again, I'm gonna try to just play a Jeskai deck with like Quarry Mountain Stalwart and Wingblade Disciple. That's all I want to do,
Yeah,
and
fair.
that's my
Yeah,
that's
I
my
have this as
deal.
pretty so-so. I think cons to speak to that, it was so super super fun. Like I had it as my best limited format for a while, but that was a totally different era. I think new Magic sets are better. They're
Hmm.
designed better and they're faster. I think Arena's a big part of that. Like back when cons was around, you would go to your local
Game
draft
store, yeah.
and you would just expect to be there for like 3 hours or whatever, right?
Hmm.
So fast formats were a little more challenging because it's kind of just like there's a like getting your money's worth kind of feel of it if you're just
Hmm.
in and out in an hour and a half. Sure, that's nice sometimes, but it's also like this is what I planned to do
Yeah.
with my
Why did
Friday
I
night
do
kind of
this?
thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That
so,
was the Almond Kit problem, right? Where it's like you show up and you're like, well, all my matches were done, and like
yeah,
basically every game was like 4 turns long.
right.
Um,
And everyone's trying to play the same aggro deck, and
mhm.
yeah. Um, whereas on Arena, you play in as with as much time as you have budgeted to
That's
play.
true. That's true.
And so I think I think that's just part of it. Like it, as far as slow formats go, and I think that's part of why people love the idea of slow formats so much and
Hmm.
dirtling and draft and stuff. It's from those. It's a holdover from those days, I think. Um, and so I don't know. I had it as my number one for a while. And when it came back on Arena, I was like, oh, I could see why I liked this. Playing in under different parameters and different time, but it's no longer, holding that crown for me.
Yeah,
Um,
like I, I think everyone should kind of experience that as like a historical piece, but I feel
mhm.
like we've moved on so much from it now that it's hard for me to be like, that's the best. But also, I didn't get to go do the Friday night thing or whatever and play at my local game store and have that experience of finding all the combos and little stuff by myself because
Right.
Magic is so different now
Another
just
part of
because
it
of
too.
Arena. So as far as like, would I rather play this than some of those other ones? Like that'll be an interesting thing in like 10 years. We go back. Do you want to play? Which one do you want to play? Right.
Right.
I have no idea. But with that being said, Jeff, do we want to talk about this new beer that we're going to be drinking and
Yes.
get this one going?
This is jet lag relief pale ale. I definitely had some jet lag coming back from Abu Dhabi.
I thought the
Um,
flight went really well, right?
it was tough. It was tough. 14-hour flight with a 2-year-old and essentially a newborn. It wasn't the easiest flight of my life, but I survived. And
That's what you want to hear when you're. I survived.
yes, I am still alive today, I think.
I'm pretty sure that you are.
Yeah. Well, there's a chance I'm just a prompt. I don't even know anymore.
Well, I guess that's true. You have been doing a lot of stuff with that.
I think we're
Um,
all just prompts.
oh boy, no, to get into that. But anyway, no. So this is their pale ale, and I'm just looking on the back. It says it's a hazy Mackinac pale ale. I'm not really sure what that is. Must be the hop for this.
Yeah,
You can tell by our yeah, it is literally the hop. There's a picture next to it. But by our amazing research on these beers.
I can smell it from here.
Yeah,
So as soon as I pour it, I was like, "What's that smell?"
I hope that's
I
good.
guess it's Mackinac.
Mackinac. Basically a hop I haven't heard of before, which is exciting. But, well, as far as, like, I feel like we've exhausted draft just a little bit, even though it's my favorite. We've talked about it a lot. But yeah, to close out on that conversation, should we put it? We actually don't do this. I don't know why we don't do this, but should we put this on the on our tier system, our rating scale? Because we already said it's not mythic. It's not an all timer, but
I think this is gold for me, man. Like this
okay,
was fine, but I'm not gonna play this again.
okay. I think that I'm probably sitting at a platinum here. I did like this one. If I see it around, I could. I'm feeling at the moment that I could play this again, and yeah, I liked it. The dragons were fun. The cards are cool,
The
and
dragon's theme was fun. Um, that was like the thing that stands out to me is the Omen stuff played a little better than
I
I
guess
thought it was going to.
that's definitely something to put a little point on because we were really low on omens coming into this set.
Yeah, I think it was mostly low on like the yeah. I
Just
guess
the idea of
the fact
shuffling
that the
them.
dragon goes back into your deck is less irrelevant than I thought it was going to be, I guess. And
Yeah,
so the whole like this is a early card and a late card really did actually play out
yeah,
in limited.
and not only just the early, like your opponent does like the worst ones. Obviously, we were just saying that are the removal spells, where it's like they kill your creature, and you know that there's something coming later. And the
Yeah.
hardest one was like I had decks that had like two disruptive stormbroods in them, so I would kill their early creatures with two disruptive stormbroods, and your opponent doesn't know whether you just keep drawing the same one or you had another one,
Right.
because and that was really fun for me.
Until you play the second dragon.
Yeah, and they finally see that like, oh, you did have two. But like sometimes, yeah, you just like use your Sagu wilding. You do like the Roost Seek on turn one, and then you just
Yep.
draw it again on turn two. You're like, I guess I could
Classic.
do this
So the
again.
old reverse Thoughtseize bug.
Yeah. So it's just like one of those just cool things, and it ended up playing a lot better. As far as like it breaking into standard, as we kind of move into standard, we I think basically just have one dragon in standard from this set, or sorry, one omen dragon in standard primarily, unless I'm
It's your
mistaken.
boy.
It's just my boy Meringue River
Yep.
region, just hanging out in control decks. What the hell am I gonna do with my copies now? I'm not gonna play
Play
control.
control. So
No,
you're a blue mage, Zach. We gotta
God,
get
get
this.
that.
We gotta get through to him, folks.
I like blue, but I don't like control decks. I want to play tempo-y, attacky decks. That's what I like. With
You're like a gin kind of guy.
yes, I do like gins. Yeah, I worked at a gin distillery. Of course, I'm a
There
gin
you
guy.
go. There you
Yeah,
go. He wants to play the like Tolarian terror decks.
actually, this is so. Well, I do like Tolarian Terror, but it is so funny. I saw like a I don't know if it was a shirt or something, but it had a picture of a gin in a bathtub, and it just said bathtub gin, and it just made me
Oh, I
laugh.
love it.
So
Yeah,
good.
that's a good one.
Because if you know your history about gin, they used to make it in bathtubs. Because they made it legal in England for anyone to make like distill, like it was just legal,
That's a
like
great idea.
open the floodgates, and then
Yeah.
everybody went blind because not everybody, but a bunch of people did because they didn't know how to make ethanol.
People weren't doing it correctly.
Yeah, because they were making in their bathtub.
Huh.
Also, feasibly, no one was taking baths or showers during that period of time.
Yeah.
Or they're just like fermenting and like distilling gin in their
Sorry,
tub.
you can't shower this week. I got my gin
Crazy.
going.
It's so funny. Actually, this is a crazy rant, but if you watch the movie Annie, there's a song about the woman who's taking care of all the children in the orphanage. And it's called Little Girls, and she's like, little girls, and they're just like how they pester her and stuff. But there's a
Hmm.
part in it where she like sits in a bathtub, and then she takes a like a cup and drinks out of it, and it's
Oh,
because she's making gin in the bathtub,
I see.
and but it's just like a little nod to this woman who's distilling her own gin in an orphanage and
Yeah.
basically abusing little girls because she thinks that they're terrorizing her. But I remember watching that recently and be like, "Oh shit, that's
It's
what she's
gin.
doing. It's gin."
She's not drinking dirty bath water.
No, it's she's drinking gin for sure. Uh,
Dirty gin bath.
yeah,
Dirty bath gin.
dirty bath gin. But I mean, it's alcohol, so it kills all
Sure,
the
sure,
bacteria,
sure.
right?
Yeah,
All
totally.
of it, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the
That's why
percentage,
I always
it's
bathe in gin.
yeah. I mean, the percentage is probably way off. It's
Yeah.
not pulled down to 40. It's probably closer to like I don't know, 60 or 80, 70. Could be.
Yeah.
You
Who
don't know.
knows, man? Don't have that much experience with old school English bathtub gin.
Anyway, Jeff, let's get back on topic.
I'd try it, I always try something once.
I don't know if you should. You might just go blind. Who knows?
Could, but what if it's the best gin I've ever had, You gotta weigh the pros and cons.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what is that thing? Like, if you what is it? Push a button. There's like there's a button you can push it, and each time you push it, you get like $1 million. But one of the times you push it, you'll die. Like, how many times do you
Mm,
push the button? And you don't know how many times it's going to be.
yeah.
It's kind of like
Zero
that.
times.
Yeah, you just don't push it
Yeah.
because like it could just be once. You don't know.
Yeah.
So like, why?
It's like Russian roulette, but there's actually upside instead
Yeah.
of Russian roulette, which has no upside.
I guess the upside is you get to rob the other person. What is the upside of Russian roulette?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why do people even do that?
I don't know
Well,
if
I
it's a
guess do they
game that
actually
like
do it?
people decide to play for fun. I think it's more like they're forced to do it kind of thing.
Right. Like everyone is forced to do it?
Yeah.
Is it like a dinner for schmucks kind of thing where you have to find the stupidest person, bring them to the poker game, and then you force them to play Russian roulette at gunpoint? How are you forcing someone to play Russian roulette at gunpoint?
Either shoot yourself or I'll shoot you.
Or I'll shoot
Hmm.
you. Interesting. I'd rather shoot myself.
I don't know. Hopefully, neither of us are ever in that situation. But
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day.
never say never.
Never say never. Thanks, Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Um, God. Jeff, I want to talk about Tarkir Dragonstorm in Standard and
Ooh.
whether the cards that we had picked at the beginning of the set were worth a slot in your deck. I'm sure everyone's waiting to remember what they are. But I can go first if you'd like.
Yes, yes. Why don't you go first?
Yes. All right. So, well, actually, sorry. Before we get into this, Jeff, do you just want to remind everyone where the slots are?
Yes, at the beginning of a set, not only do we pick all of the best commons, uncommons, etc. in the draft format, which you just saw we excel at, but we also choose the cards that are going to be valuable crafts. The most
Hmm.
important currency in Arena is wild cards. We don't want you wasting your wild cards, so we're going to let you know as soon as we see some cards which ones we think are worth crafting. Because we all do it, we have this new deck we want to try, and we're like, oh, I got to craft a bunch of cards to build this deck, but a lot of wild cards. Am I going to
Hmm.
regret this? And so we do our best to tell you the cards that we might be doing that with, and hopefully are no regret crafts. And we tier them. So we have a layup that we think for sure this is a good one. Go ahead and craft it. a three-pointer is like, well, this could work out if you really want to build this deck, maybe you could justify it. Half court shot is like, probably don't do this. It's just kind of something we want to work.
Hmm.
And then we choose some other cards that are more related to like, honestly, just kind of like, why is everyone talking about this card and not this card is
Totally.
basically what we do. But we'll just talk about the layup, the three-pointer, and the half court shot. With that, Zach, what was your layup?
Buddy. I think my layup, like, I don't even know how to have the perfect layup, but this thing,
This was a finger roll that
it was
came like
amazing.
perfect
Yeah.
spin,
Like,
nothing but net.
yeah, just right through the front, it was
Yeah.
just amazing right off the top.
Over Shaq, you
Yeah.
know.
I picked Corey Steel Cutter as the card that you can 100% craft and you will not regret it. And boy, did we not regret it. Holy shit.
Might be the
This,
best pick in the history of our first Sips picks.
it's really just the best. Like, I don't know if you've ever picked a card that's like, oh, standard is warped to run this card now, but it is. There are literally
But
people.
every format, that's the thing. Like
That's
this
true.
gets played in every
Everything.
format.
And
This is the
it's
most no regrets craft ever.
It's
'Cause, like,
amazing. Like if they ban this in anything, you're getting wild cards, baby. Like
yeah,
like this is safety. If you haven't crafted this yet, craft it
yeah,
because
might as
Corey
well.
Steelcutter, amazing. It's so much fun. It's got the best mechanic on it called Flurry, a blast. It's exactly what you want if you want to play blue decks, but not like really blue decks.
Mm.
Play this card with it. Bam.
That Zach's still in denial, by the way.
I am, but it's fine.
Yeah.
No, Corey Steelcutter is fantastic. Love this card. Like, I love this card to the point where like I would build this in paper if I can. It's one
Yeah,
of, like I played a few of the decks, but this is like the deck.
it's always funny. Like, there are certain cards that this happens to that I don't have a name for it, but it's been a while since we've had one. But I'm thinking like the Uros and the Omnaths and stuff, where a card gets printed and it just immediately dominates standard and then it like trickles down. People are like, I
Mm-hmm.
think this is good enough for Pioneer. And, oh, it's even good enough for Modern. And
Mm-hmm.
then maybe it's even good enough for Legacy. And then some next thing you know, it's in like vintage decks. And like that's
Mm-hmm.
Corey Steelcut is one of those cards, which I haven't seen one in a really long time. And what tends to happen is they get banned
From the
reverse,
bottom
like
up,
the
yeah.
other
You're
way
right,
up.
yeah.
And so it's like, oh, this card's like just too good. We got to cut it from, Legacy because it just doesn't get banned in Vintage. And then Modern bans it, and then Pioneer bans it, and then in the old days it would be gone from Standard by that point, so you don't have to worry about it. But this one won't be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this will get banned from Standard.
Yeah, that's true because
Um,
it'll be 3 years. But it is funny that they do it backwards, though. I mean,
yeah.
I guess to be fair, it's usually because in those formats, there's more things that are abusing it, and they're like, well, the reason it's busted is because these other cards.
And this is a
Gives you.
perfect card for that because this card is
Hmm.
like, hey, play good one mana spells.
Hmm.
In Standard, you're restricted from.
Hmm.
The more you go down that list, the less restrictive that
That
ask
thing
is.
is, yeah,
Like Luris or whatever. Like
exactly.
Luris was good, really good in Standard, but it was unbelievably good in Legacy. Because
Hmm.
you were already automatically meeting its
Yeah,
requirements.
or
Like
vintage, yeah, where you're just like
or Vintage. Yeah.
replaying your Black Lotus. So
Right. Yeah. Well, that's just nuts.
that's just nuts. Um, yeah, Corey Steelcutter have loved it. Yeah, I'm interested to see how long it sticks around, or if there's something that's gonna. I don't think there's something that's gonna be beating it out, but it is to the point where people on Arena like Magebane Lizard is just like a main deckable card now because of this.
Right.
Because Magebane Lizard is just a 2 mana 1/4 that says like don't cast a bunch of non-creature spells. And
Right.
and so it's just funny running into that card being like, oh damn, this is just people
Just
hate this card, hate this deck.
main deck.
Main deck, Magebane Lizard. Just to
Yeah.
be like, fuck you, Corey Steelcutter. I'm gonna run into you all the time, and this is gonna
Or there's
keep
some pretty like loosey-goosey effects around that are like of the only play one spell per
Yeah,
turn
there's
variety.
the one from OTJ, the
Yeah.
white spell. That one's really annoying
Yeah.
because it's
And
an
it's like,
enchantment.
didn't think I was really gonna see these, but
Yeah, I think that saw a little bit of play before, but now it actually matters. Um,
yeah. Um, and like I knew Corey Steelcutter was good when I was looking at it, and I remember thinking, I think this is the card Zach's gonna pick because this is like a total Zach card.
yes.
So um, I'll try and pick something else. But this even surprised me how good this is. Like I knew it
Hmm.
was good, but I didn't know it was like I'm gonna take over every format good. And we'll get to it in a second, but I've actually been playing a bit of historic because the next qualifier weekend is going to be historic.
End of
And
June.
and one of the really strong decks currently in historic, it seems like, is Jeskai, or really just like Azorius mostly. But we'll call it Jeskai High Noon.
Right.
And I was like, this is such a weird deck to be like one of the top decks. And I realized it's literally just because of Corey Steelcutter. Because High Noon says you can only play one spell per turn. And it just is the
It just
whole
turns
deck
off.
is just
Yeah.
about countering Corey Steelcutter. That's the whole deck.
That's
It's just like a
hilarious.
Jeskai High Noon control deck. And it's just like at first I was like, it's so weird that this is like because and I would just smash people playing this deck because I'm not playing Corey Steelcutter. And then I was like, oh, it's because otherwise Corey Steelcutter just runs rampant. So it's like, what's the best deck? High Noon or Corey Steelcutter?
Yeah.
Like,
God, it's just like the classic your buddy makes a deck and you build the anti deck. And then,
yeah, exactly.
in your kitchen table meta. Oh, God, it's so fun. Um, but no, I'm excited to see where it goes and what happens with it. But I stick by my you should craft this card, and definitely worked out this time, which is nice. They don't always do.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, if
Jeff,
you're interested in this kind of deck at all, like definitely is kind of a tempo card. Uh, you want to be attacking. I think what makes it so good too is it rebuilds so quickly. So you're not
it's
even that worried about board wipes because you just drop this, something else, and then you're already back in action. Um, but yeah, if you're interested in those types of decks, craft this card, man. Okay,
what's your layup?
let's go to my layup. Um, I picked Voice of Victory, and I stand by this. I love this card.
I think I agree.
I've been playing it in standard a lot, just in like the Aristocrats deck I was working on, and it went from like, okay, let's put 2 copies in, the tokens can be nice, to 3 copies, to just no, we just want 4 copies of this card. And it's the most, I think, raw, like power level best card in my deck, which is part of why it's 4. But like I said, I've been playing Historic, and I've been testing a few things out. One thing I've been messing around with is Boros Energy. So just like kind of a port of the modern deck, a little bit. But Historic is a little different. Like the Ocelot Pride is 2 mana in Historic, so it's just can't play that. It's cut. And you get Lurrus. So you there's a little few differences from the modern deck, but I've been running this guy, and this guy is an absolute house in that. You know what's good with Voice of Victory? Goblin Bombardment. It's so crazy because
That's
they
great.
get the 2 free tokens that attack, and then it basically makes them Mog Fanatics. Um, back when like
Damage was on the stack, and
damage was on the
yeah.
stack. But also like this High Noon deck, their whole plan is to drop High Noon and then interact on your turn. And it Voice of Victory just like shuts them down completely. Now they have to play 1 card per turn at sorcery speed, and it just like their deck is terrible when
Yeah.
they have to do that. So this thing is like I think people are realizing it because more and more it's becoming an absolute fucking lightning rod for removal. This is on the battlefield, it must die.
Yeah.
But it has that Teferi thing where if you let it resolve, you don't get to kill it until you untap.
Yeah.
So people will often hold up removal for your 2 drop. And then you drop this, and there's just the classic like fuck pause from your
Mm-hmm.
opponent and then just like lets it resolve and then you go through your turn and you can use it in a similar way that you used to use Teferi of like to protect a key spell. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really need this to resolve this turn. I'll play Voice of Victory first. If they
Mm-hmm.
let it go, fine. If they
And then you,
counter it, then that was their counter spell.
yeah.
Especially through a high noon deck, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you literally cannot have another counter spell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, Voice of Victory's just been going up and up and up. Every time I play it, I'm just like, I feel like this is the best card in my deck. This card is awesome.
Yeah.
And it just like there's all these small interactions that you don't realize with it too that are great. And it's just like, yeah, it's this card is the real deal. I
Nice.
highly recommend put if you're playing white and it's a creature deck, throw this guy in.
Yeah.
It's probably the right spot for it.
I have also seen it around in non-aristocracy decks, so it doesn't even feel like exactly what you're doing, and it just seems like a solid, great card. And
Yeah.
it's always really annoying when I see it. So yeah, yeah, great stuff. Good layups this round, man.
Yeah.
Gotta applaud us. Let's see if the rest of the cards really make it there. Do you want to snake this thing?
Okay, sure. My three-pointer was Rural Procession. And to peek behind the curtain a little more, when when Zach wrote out what our picks were in the show notes, I saw a Rural Procession. I did not remember what card that was, so didn't necessarily bode well for my three-pointer. But after looking it up, I do remember it's the regrowth effect in like just blue-green regrowth at instant speed. It's return target card from your graveyard to your hand. It's I think I remember saying like this might take some time because when this is going to be crazy, it's going to be one of those dumb combo decks just because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have any restrictions. You could
Yeah.
just do it again and again and again. You can chain them, stuff like that. So if there's some way to just like generate mana and you just need to like filter through and get stuff back. Like this is just one of the most powerful versions of this effect we've seen, and we've seen cards like this be good in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But also, this is an uncommon, so um, I stand by it for in the sense of I remember why I picked it. And I think that all still holds, but I haven't actually seen anyone play this card yet.
I haven't seen this one either. It will be interesting. There is a is it card in the Final Fantasy set that does want you to cast a lot of spells, and if you can loop things around, you can win the game. I don't think that I don't know if this card will be able to fit in there because that one only generates like blue and red mana, um, but it does seem like a piece that's possibly there. But as far as like right
Yeah.
now, it didn't crack into standard, so
Right now, we're still in the like
waiting game.
Bloomborough is king kind of
Hmm.
standard thing. So,
Well,
um,
and Corey Steelcutter.
and now Corey Steelcutter, right? And those are not that's not the appropriate metagame for a card like this. So I wouldn't
Exactly.
be surprised if this card never does anything, but I also wouldn't be that surprised if, a year from now there's a deck that plays four of these and is a deck that I hate and is the
Hmm.
best deck in the format.
Yeah, which is so funny that you picked it,
Well, I
but
just saw it because it just like had that factor for me where I was
it
like,
does have
"Whoa,
that
they
factor.
put no restrictions on this." Like I kind of hate that, but I feel like this could be a thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, for my three pointer, I picked Yathan Roadcatcher, which is the 4 mana creature that mills some cards and you return a 3 drop to the battlefield. We kind of talked about it as if it was like a creature collected company kind of thing, except for you always get a 3/3 and then you get something else.
Right.
The version I was kind of thinking of is like, oh, could we do a skirmish rhino thing and like, drain them out? I had seen some other people play a deck that was similar, and whether that was going to be good enough. I think ultimately it wasn't, and I still do see it sometimes from people, so I don't think it's completely off of people's radar. I think it's like a powerful enough card. So I don't really know if it's very like tier 3 or like tier C kind of. Like if you see it
Yeah.
around, it does pop in there. I don't feel like it's completely like vacant. So I don't hate the pick. Obviously, it feels bad after Corey Steelcutter, but like as far as like picks go, I've seen other people play with this card, and that makes me feel like it wasn't a huge blunder.
Yeah. There are people trying to make it work, so that feels appropriate for a three
Yeah.
pointer, right?
So that's so that feels good, but it's not doing as much stuff as I had kind of hoped, but also it's 4 mana, 3 different colors, and I don't know, we're playing against it doesn't work with Corey Steelcutter or anything like that. Or any of the other
Right.
decks that are going around. It doesn't
That's
fit
the
into
other thing,
the
right? Like the collected company thing, the dream is to hit two, three drops that are both really good. This is like promising you a 3/3 plus something
something
else.
maybe good.
And
And
like the
it's hard
dream
because
on collected company is that you don't get like just a 3/3 as one of your
exactly.
creatures. So
Yeah. So that's it's obviously not instant speed. There's a bunch of issues with it.
right. Yeah.
In pixie decks, yeah, milling over a pixie so you pick this up to spin the wheel again is
Hmm.
fun, but not good, you know. So
Right. Yeah. It's like you spend 4 mana for a pixie.
yeah. So that's kind of bad. So
It's neat.
yeah.
And then you realize like, oh, it's bad though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on it, as everybody else seems to as well. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. My half court shot. I I do really like this card, and I played it a lot in draft.
This card was like surprisingly present in the limited format.
Yes. It was Breaching Dragonstorm, which was the red one. So it's the 5 mana enchantment that enters, and then you get to basically cascade into an 8 draw or 8 or less mana value thing. And I was thinking that this could be part of a standard deck where you're trying to play something huge. Maybe there's some crazy big enchantments you're trying to get on the battlefield that let you cast all your spells or a bunch of different things. Turns out that there's already decks that are doing that in other ways, and this was just unnecessary.
Right.
If you're trying to do the omniscience thing, you're already just playing like the Azorius, Abuelos, whatever that's called.
Yeah, yeah.
To mill it and return it to your hand or return to the battlefield. So it's not Breaching Dragonstorm was just it's just sitting on the sidelines because there's already a deck that's doing that, you know. And this one's like way slower and worse.
Right.
So yeah,
I mean,
I,
like, the Abuelos thing has some downsides, right? Like, I always just hold up a removal spell so that I can kill the Omniscience,
yeah,
like,
but now
but
they're
if they have the
learning.
second Omniscience in
That's
their hand, that's
that's
when they
the
get
issue.
me.
Yeah,
You know?
like every time you're like, oh, I just killed a 1/1, and they're like they just always have the other one for some reason.
I know. It's like if I were to play this deck, I would never fucking have Omniscience in my graveyard and in my hand, and then also get the Abuelos. But my opponents seem to have that 100% of the time.
Yes, yes. Even after duressing them on turn 1 or whatever.
Yeah, the classic Thoughtseize, but
Yeah. Well,
I
you like.
Thoughtseized away your Omniscience.
How did you get it back? It's one of those things where you thought sees on turn 1, you don't see any combo pieces. They draw all of
Yeah,
them. You're like,
yeah,
what the
exactly.
fuck? Great. But yeah, so I don't think that. I think this one's probably a miss. I was probably reaching with this, but or breaching the surface.
Half
trying
court
to get
shots
out.
rarely go in, right? That's
It's
why.
true. It's very
Yeah.
true. That's why we say that. But yeah, with the
Like, I guess we
breaching,
need to clarify to people, we are not Steph Curry. So
we are
our
not.
half
No.
court shots rarely go.
Yeah. Caitlin Clark's can, but not ours.
Yeah, yeah. Hers are like 50-50 maybe,
Yeah.
Ours are like nowhere near that.
Nope, not even close. So yeah, breaching Dragonstorm didn't make it. But Jeff, what's your half court shot?
I'm Songcrafter Mage. This is like the bad Snapcaster Mage that gives Harmonize.
Hmm.
Um, I've never seen this card at all. I don't think I've even seen it in like a pack come open. I just forgot that this card existed. Or if I
I
did, I
love,
just ignored it.
I love your like, like. I just forgot all the cards I had
Yeah,
talked about
I
last time.
just
I
picked these cards. I forgot this
That's
one
so funny.
existed. Um, yeah, it's probably not worth a slot.
Yeah, maybe not. People were excited about this card. There could be a combination of things, but like a three color Snapcaster Mage is just so difficult. A three mana, three color one. It's just brutal.
Yeah, and I get that it helps pay one for the thing, for the
But you,
harmonize or
yeah, but you still
whatever.
have to
But
pay mana. So it's like
yeah,
earliest is like turn four, basically.
yeah.
Um, it's just quite difficult. So yeah,
Just
also
asking too much in a format where other cards don't ask that much of you.
don't really, yeah, exactly. Don't ask anything. They're like, hey, did you cast two spells? And this one's
Yeah,
like, I can help you cast two spells if you. I make it hard to do that, but I can. And so,
yeah.
sorry, Songcrafter Mage. I guess I was a hater for Songcrafter Mage like since the beginning. So I'm happy that it's.
Yeah, I wasn't, I don't think I was like super excited about it. I was just like, hey, it could be cool if there's
Yeah,
like a teamer deck that makes use
it's
of
true.
this.
It would
I would be
definitely be cool.
interested in someone else building that and
Hmm.
showing me. I
Yes,
don't think I was excited enough to try to go build it myself, though.
of course. I was also thinking of it as like I just had seen people be like crazy stoked, and I was looking at it
Mm,
from a limited brain of like, I don't like this very much at
this
all.
card's bad.
Bad. I got to play a bunch of. I just don't
I
think
mean,
this is
it's
great.
not Sidisi bad, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
bad.
it's better than Sidisi, that's for sure. God, sacrificing a real creature to get something that's in the yard. Ugh. Can't even
And it was
sacrifice.
very like it's so specific on the mana. Anyways, we
Yeah,
don't have to talk
it's like,
about
hey, sacrifice
Sidisi
this
anymore.
token and get a one or a one
Yeah.
drop. Great.
If you have one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jeff, did you have some favorite cards from the set?
I do. So, all right. So we usually do limited standard and then favorite art, right?
Hmm.
So I'll start with limited. My choice is interesting in limited because, like I said, I did not play all that much. And so I think I think the card that is my favorite limited card is maybe a little indicative of why I didn't do that well in this format.
Okay.
Um, and so I want to be like, ah, is that my favorite? Because I know it's, maybe not leading me down the right path. But then you had your thing earlier about like we all have that card that we see and then we chase it and then we end up in this deck even if we know it's not good and limited. I was like, that was
Hmm.
me in this format. So that card is Skirmish Rhino. If I see a Skirmish Rhino,
Mm.
there's just it's so hard for me not to take it.
Hmm.
And I just like end up in Abzan and then I'm like, I'm an Abzan drafter now. And I'm like, well,
Oh,
Abzan
that's
will be open, right? That's why I saw the Skirmish Rhino. I'm like convincing myself. And then,
yeah.
I do like a, a three or like a 3 and 3 or something. I'm just like, wow, it happened again. I had two skirmish rhinos. How did this happen?
Ugh.
So, you know what? I like this card, and it leads me down the wrong path because Abzan didn't happen to be good in this format. I don't think that's necessarily the fault of this card in particular, though.
No.
Um, but
No, but
yeah,
yeah, it just wasn't the thing you wanted to be doing. It was, yeah. There was
but
just,
if I'm being honest with myself, there's my favorite limited card. I always
yeah.
go like if I see it, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, we're doing the skirmish
Well,
rhino thing.
I absolutely know. Like, I have a similar gut feeling that kind of comes out, and I get excited with the skirmish rhinos as well because I did see them very often because exactly like
Yeah,
you
and
said.
that's the problem. You see them all the
Hmm.
time because Abzan is bad. And so
Yeah.
then you're like, oof, I know I have a pretty good blue-red start here, but
Hmm.
do I throw it all away for Skirmish Rhino?
Maybe. Um, yeah, I think my favorite card in limited is a very good card, and
I think I know which
it's
one yours is, but
Well, I have two, which is hard. I've already mentioned them earlier, but I decided that I'm going to
Is it
pick this.
CMS? Is that the...
No, but that
Okay.
is one of the two.
Okay.
Um,
That was going to be my guess.
because my favorite card is Wingblade Disciple. That is a card
Oh,
because
okay.
it's Wingblade Disciple is a single color. So if I saw it in an opening pack, it's really, really hard for me not to pick that first.
That card is nuts.
This is like the 3 mana 2/2 that when you flurry, you make a 1/1 flyer, and it has flying. It it is like I love Corey Boughton Stalwart, the card you're talking about. But Wingblade being one color was huge. It makes a bunch of dorks. It's just one of the big reasons why I ended up in Jeskai so often, because I would like play this and then see a Corey Mountain Stalwart and be like, oh, we're Jeskai now. And
Yeah. Your
that
drafts
just
went differently than mine. Never
that
fucking saw Wingblade Disciple ever.
yeah. And when you see like Wingblade Disciple pick 4, you're like, oh, I think we got something here. I would like
Never
jump
happened.
off of whatever I was doing to be like, it was very hard for me to pass that card. Like deep into pack 2, you kind of see one, you're like, oh no, I can't move now. I can't do it. I'm gonna take it anyway, just in case. Just in case. Maybe there's a chance we like play this.
This
I
card
took
offends me at a very deep level because you know I love Windrake, and we're just getting ridiculous now.
well, Windrake is
Like
terrible.
this
This
is
is great.
so much better than Windrake.
Yeah.
Like this is. I've always been like, you know what, Windrake is close. You know, it's
No.
they don't have to punch that much on Windrake to make like these days. And now you see something like this, you're like, this is so absurd. This is
Well, you
like such
have
an
to.
unreasonably strong ability stapled to Windrake.
Well, because Windrake is actively bad. Like, and you just have to beat that into your face. Like the same thing as remember when we were talking about Riling Dawnbreaker, and
Yeah,
I was saying like, oh, Riling Dawnbreaker as like, oh, you pay 2 mana, you get a Grizzly Bear. That's not that bad. And you're like, that's pretty bad.
it's
Grizzly
horrible.
Bears are bad.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, right? It's
But
the
this is
same
so
thing.
far beyond. Now this is the, one of the best
This is
uncommons in the set.
yeah, this is a very good uncommon.
But they've also like it's the Windrake thing, and then on the other side of it, they do this all the time, where it's like set mechanic, and there's a creature that whenever you set mechanic, you create a 1/1. It often has flying, and it's often a blue card, but not always. But this is the most pushed version of that. That its baseline is a Windrake, because usually it's like a 1/4 for 4 or something like that, or it's like some kind of dirtling
Yeah,
card.
something like that. Your Murmuring Mystic was like that, and you just cast stuff. In Foundations, we had like the 2 mana one that when you draw your second spell, which is harder to do than
Right, it's a
play
harder. If you're
spells.
gonna make it 2 mana,
Or
yeah, it
sorry,
has to be
when you
hard.
draw your second card, not draw your second
Yeah, yeah,
spell.
yeah.
You have to
So
show that you drew a spell, not a land. You had to draw a spell.
this card is the card that most often makes me throw away my curve completely, because I think this happened at the tournament we went to. You just like played this card out on turn 3 or something, and I had a line like I'm gonna play this and this and this, and I had to go completely off course because I was like, I gotta like Dragon's Prey that or whatever it was. It's like I
Yeah,
really wanted to develop, but I was like, I'm not gonna let you untap with 4 mana and that card.
which
Like,
I
so.
knew, and I liked whatever I played next.
And
I
I
can't
was like,
remember
I
what it was
know that
though.
he just played it out. So obviously there's a reason, but I felt like it
You
was a
have to.
damned if I do, damned if I don't, right? If I
Yeah.
let you, then you'll be like, oh, okay, and you'll just do something,
Now I
you'll
get to double
like your
spell with my other
spells.
thing. Yeah.
And if I kill it, then you're like, cool. Now I'm open to get ahead on board with my 4 drop or whatever. And I
Yeah.
was just like, you just played this card, and I immediately felt like my chances of winning the game like plummeted. And all you did was like play it on turn 3, you know? I was like,
Yeah, buddy.
fucking Wingblade Disciple. Which is basically how I always feel when my opponent plays Windrake too. So it's
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing.
How do you feel when your opponent plays Tempest Hawk?
Oh, well, then I just scoop them up.
Yeah, yeah. I will say Tempest Hawk. I did have a draft today that was Boros, very low to the ground. and I had 4 Tempest Hawks in my deck, and that was a big reason why I won the game. So
There, on to something.
because opponents,
So
you
you're
play it
changing your favorite limited card to Tempest Hawk?
to Tempest Hawk. No, honestly, another contender, which is off the beaten path, but one of my favorites,
Hmm.
which was Iridescent Tiger, which is
Okay.
the 5 mana 3/4 red card
Yeah, I do
that
not like this card very
when it
much.
enters you make Wooburg mana. I loved it, but that's also because it's a really fun card. If you're touching red at all, it splashes any of your random shit.
Yeah, sure.
So like if you're touching red but you want to play like an Abzan card randomly, Tiger will do it. It'll do whatever you want, which is great. You're just like, all right, Tiger into this, and then of course I'm trying to play Jeskai stuff, so I'm double spelling
Yeah.
everything, and it lets you double spell. It's whenever you're like missing that one color of mana, like it's so funny playing. I think one time I didn't have white the entire game. It was just playing blue red. And I got to
Hmm.
play Iridescent Tiger into the Storm Brood, the big 6/5 or whatever,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
um, gain 5 life, and it was just hilarious because I was like, it is just one of my colors, but I just can't find it. So we're just gonna do this right
We
now.
have to do this. We're fixing for
And
our own color.
yeah, I had an extra land to pay for the extra mana, but it was just so funny that the tiger ended up letting me splash my main color. But are they?
I've always had the tiger or seen the tiger in situations where I can't cast anything after. I'm just like,
Oh,
I hate this fucking tiger.
no. Mine was always like, okay, well, I have to set it up where I get to play enough things before the tiger that then I get to do something. Or it's like,
Yeah.
play the tiger, play the deal 5 damage, get the Jeskai mana, play a 3 drop, and your
Yeah.
opponent's just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Oh god, it was so fun. So I also loved that card. I guess I really like. There's a lot of fun things about this format. So, but that was one that I felt like I, in particular, really enjoyed. That not everyone did. While Wingblade Disciple, I think everyone enjoyed.
Yeah, the card was
It was
was
just
nuts.
busted. But it's very hard for your favorite card not to be amazing.
For sure,
Tim,
because
yeah.
you want it to be something like it's something we've talked about before, but it's like, do I dislike a format because I'm losing, or do I
Hmm.
lose because I dislike it? They kind of go hand in hand, right? Like you
They
enjoy
kind of
winning,
do.
and so better cards tend to be your favorite cards.
Exactly. I will say that going into our favorite card for standard is a really hard one for me because I've already talked about my favorite card for standard. So I feel like it's disingenuous if I try to
Yeah,
if I try to find a new card that's not Corey Steelcutter. It just feels wrong. It just feels wrong because that really is the
that's fair.
card
Yeah.
that I've played the most and I've had the most connection with.
And normally I'd be like, it doesn't actually have to be standard. We should probably just replace this with constructed, but I feel like
It's
your
true.
answer is the same no matter
It,
what.
it
So,
it really is with Corey Steelcutter, and I like racking my brain trying to find anything else, but that's really it. Like
yeah.
I've had so much fun with Corey Steelcutter that I can wait until other formats to start trying to think about other things. But that's definitely
Yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite constructed card. We'll say that.
for sure. I'm somewhat similar. Like, I think the actual answer, my favorite card for constructed is currently Voice of Victory. I'm just loving
Hmm.
it. But there is another card I want to talk about, so that I've had some fun with, so I wanted to throw it in here, and that's Shiko, Paragon of the Way. This
Yes.
card
Okay.
has been sweet. I kind
Hmm.
of missed this in spoiler season. Like I read it, I was like, okay, it's pretty good. But it's actually really good. And I played it a bunch in standard. Like I played the Jeskai control deck that's kind of going
Hmm.
around, which I think is kind of like I would say top of tier two, maybe can sneak its way into bottom of tier one. Kind of like that's kind of where it sits based on the
Hmm.
metagame. It's not the best deck, but it can play. And Shiko is just the deck doesn't exist without Shiko. And
Yeah.
like it reminds me a bit of like a deck that doesn't really exist anymore, where you had this like okay, it's a control deck, but you have like a reasonable finisher, but the finisher is not like you cannot interact with me at all and I kill you. It's just like a value finisher. And Shiko is very reminiscent of that kind of stuff. And like you win the game by like Helix your face and then later Shiko Helix your face again kind of
Hmm.
thing. Get you for 4 in the air. And we're playing, the 4 mana white creature as well. And it was super fun to play. And I actually think Shiko might have legs in Pioneer as well, just because it gets back anything. Like, I think what I maybe
Hmm.
missed when I was reading it, I just assumed it was
Is
like
it?
a snapcastery kind of thing and only against instant sorceries.
Hmm.
But the fact that it can get, you know,
Anything?
Fables the Mirror Breaker, for
Hmm.
example, in Pioneer, or, maybe we even go further back, it could pick up a Teferi for you. Like,
Hmm.
that can get pretty crazy. So I think this card is really sweet. It's a lot stronger than my initial read would have
Hmm.
suggested. And it's fun. I like playing with this card and like deck building. You're like going through what's the best card I could get back with Shiko. Turns out it's just like stock up in standard because stock up's just kind of nuts. But like this, you could experiment and have some fun. But the answer is like you want 4 shock up or stock ups and 4 helixes, and that basically
Hmm.
covers anything you could want at any point in the game. But
Yeah.
maybe some like better removal, like a couple of removal spells that get anything bigger than 3 toughness you throw in there as well. But like, yeah, Shiko is awesome, and I like that it's at a power level where it's like you can if you need to beat Shiko, you could beat Shiko, right? Like just interact
Hmm.
with the graveyard, and then it's just kind of a dorky 4 or 5. But yeah, this card is awesome, and I really actually enjoyed playing the Jeskai control deck in standard because I think control's a bit of a misnomer. It's kind of like a mid-range deck.
Hmm.
But because the format is so fast, you're always taking the controlling
The
role.
control point.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
in that sense, it's kind of a control deck. But when you play against the Azorius stuff, like you're the aggressor. So
Yeah.
that's when you're starting to Helix their face just on turn 2.
Hmm.
Helix you. Like, I know this is gonna have no targets, and I gotta cast it, get it into my graveyard.
Yeah, absolutely. Shiko is phenomenal. Our Discord was going crazy with this card at the beginning of the format and also got me interested. So, definitely the coolest of the dragons and of the legendary dragons is the one that did the most and will probably continue to do the most. So,
Oh, and
I.
also the mirror match for this deck was super fun, which is why I will also say it's probably not really a control deck because control mirrors are not always
Not
super
fun
fun. But
or not
this one
ever.
is like it's all just about Shiko. Like it's
Hmm.
what's in their graveyard, what's in my graveyard. I need to hold counter spells up for Shiko. I need to like because Shiko just gets you so far ahead that
Yeah.
it was actually pretty fun. Then they play Jeff Bezos. And you're like, oof, do I let that go or do I?
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, yeah, the 4 mana white creature. Isn't that what it's called?
The format of white creature.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
Oh, sorry. The format of double white creature. Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Beza. Right. Sorry. I was
But
very
you're like, do
confused.
I counter that or this is probably bait for
Hmm.
Shiko? And it's just like I guess I just let you have it. 4/4, and it's like a 4 mana 4/4 draw card, which is pretty
Hmm.
good. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, definitely a great pick for constructed for sure. And yeah, super sweet. Our last thing to talk about this evening is just like, do you have a card that maybe just you like the art on it? Something that's super sweet that stands out to you and that you think really deserves a little pin in there. I'm gonna go first because
Sure.
I do love looking at the art of the cards, and I often show my wife different arts to see what she thinks. Oftentimes, her opinions are drastically different than what I think they're going to be, even though I often I think that I figure it out, and then I just never know what she's gonna like. But one that really stood out to me, and I always kind of look at and admire is Tran Nguyen. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name, but they illustrated Eshki Dragonclaw, which is very. It has a lot of those kinds of like classic feels as far as like I don't know East Asian artistry, and it kind of has like this teamer vibe just with this wolf with kind of a silly face with the tongue sticking out is very classic when you see a lot of those tapestries, and just the way that it kind of looks and some of the colors in it too. All
Hmm.
of it feels very like I could see a version of it in a tapestry or maybe painted on a kind of paper wall somewhere. And I just have liked this one a lot. My wife does not like it, but I do. So
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask if Catherine liked it or did not
no,
like it,
she
but
did not. No, she did
yeah.
not. But Jeff, do you have a favorite art?
That's a cool pick. If you haven't seen Zach's segment, it's so great because let's just say Catherine doesn't hold back on her opinions about
She does
some of these
not.
pieces,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's pretty awesome. I don't even know why, to be honest, but the piece that I always like look and I put my mouse over it and hover it up. I'm
Hmm.
like, ooh, that's a good one. Is Dalcoven Encampment. I've been
Oh
playing a lot of
yeah.
this card in my Aristocrats deck. And every time I play it, I just like, let me take a look at that art. I just hover over it and it comes
Hmm.
up and it's kind of just like it's an encampment, but it's just
Hmm.
really well done. I don't know. I like it a lot. So um that's Marina Ortega Lorente.
Hmm.
Really nice piece. I like the kind of mood I think it delivers on these people clearly like camping outside for war and the colors that they used for that a little muted, but still like kind of have that warm color scheme going on. Just
Yeah.
feels very Tarkir, feels very like I feel like I know what's going on from looking at this art.
Hmm. Like the sun is setting and we're heading in and it's starting the fires. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
There's like these pieces in the back or the center of it, this big giant tent sort of stadium. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're going to go check out some sort of I don't know, Zergo's fighting somebody in the Coliseum kind of.
Right.
But it
Yeah.
also kind of reminds me of like some of those posts look like, and there's like dragons flying around. I'm like, are they going to go watch Quidditch? Like, is this what's going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
happen?
this
Like,
is a
we're going to
Quidditch
go in
match.
as a
It does
Quidditch
kind of look
match.
like that. Yeah.
It gives me a little bit of that, so that's kind of funny. But no, definitely like that one, and it's nice just to look at the art sometimes and sit back and not worry about all the words. But the
Yeah.
very just
The anti-Ben Stark approach.
exactly that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The anti Ben Stark
Yeah.
as only look at the art. But anyway, Jeff, do you have any final thoughts for Tarkir Dragonstorm before we go into our last call and talk about these beers?
Yeah, it's a cool set, a fitting return to Tarkir. I
Hmm.
just wish I had done a little better.
Yeah, I wish you had done it better too.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's those words of encouragement that really keep me
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
back.
You'll
Yeah.
get the next one.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was great, and this was the set that told me that I liked Jeskai, which is hilarious. I
There
don't
you
know if I'm
go.
always gonna like Jeskai, but this one for sure was the
This
one
is it,
that
folks. You can
made
trace
me
it back to
realize
here. The
it's
beginning of Zach's villain arc.
it's starting right now. Um, but let's go to last call. Let's talk about these beers this evening. We're going to put them on a rating scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. So, just a reminder that everyone's in different tiers at different times. So, this is just a fun rating scale that we like to put beers on. It's just a way to talk about the things that we're tasting. So, don't feel bad when we say the bronze beers are trash. They're horrible. You spit them out, you pour them on the ground, they're disgusting.
Silver are bad beers or boring, so just uninteresting.
Gold beers are fine, but you wouldn't really drink them again.
Platinum is solid. You would totally drink it again.
Diamond beers are exceptional. You like these a lot, and you show them off to your friends.
Mythic, these are the best of the best.
Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, I have
Give it.
two options and they're both yours. I'm gonna go with these are the Corey Steel cutters of the
Yes.
beer world.
Let's go. That's what we're talking about. I knew you were gonna say that.
I could have said Meringue River region too, which was
You
equally
could have.
devastating.
You could have, but you knew the real answer.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, let's go old school. We got two beers.
Yeah.
On the count of three, let's pick our favorite one.
Okay.
Here you go. 3, 2, 1. Jet lag.
Oh, El
Whoa.
Jefe.
Are you really? I thought that one was for sure. I am shocked that you picked El Jefe. Oh my gosh, Jeff, you start. Why did you pick this
Okay.
beer?
Uh, I didn't like either beer,
Whoa. But
but I disliked El Jefe less. Jet lag relief just had something. There was some flavor in there that I didn't like, and I don't really know what it is. But
interesting.
El Jefe tasted like a kind of like Mexican style lager that wasn't the best.
Yeah. I felt like El Jefe tasted like a lager that they like. It almost had a little bit of that buttery taste to it. So I was a little worried by
Okay,
that.
yeah,
And which is a type of flavoring that you're not supposed to be tasting in beer. There's a chemical reaction that
it's a
is
mistake.
it's a
Yeah.
mistake. So that's what I was kind of tasting with it. So I did drink it quite quickly because I was hoping to get past that as much as I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm surprised you didn't like jet lag relief because I don't know. I just felt like it was the best of all of them to me. It had like a hazy feel to it, and I didn't really get any off flavors. But that's interesting. It's just so funny.
Yeah. I don't know if I got necessarily an off flavor. I got something that I didn't like though. I think
Okay,
it's similar to the El Dorado hops kind of
that's
thing.
what I was gonna ask.
Maybe I don't like Mackinac hops because I smelled it as soon as I poured it in there. I was like,
Right.
there's something I don't like. I don't like this smell.
Which is
And
yeah,
then
because
and
I
then I
poured
drank it
mine
and I was like, oh, it tastes worse than it smells. Was
because
kind of my first reaction.
I poured mine and I was like, oh, I don't really have that smell that Jeff's talking about, and it tasted like a close to a juicy pale ale. I was like, ooh, this is nice.
Ooh,
So
okay, it might be me on this one then.
yeah, hopefully it's
I
not
was
like
I was gonna
not
give
the
this
actual
like
beer, but
silver because I did drink it all, but like
it was
that
close.
was
Oh wow,
yeah. There's just something that funk. And maybe it's kind of like the what's the thing that goes in tacos that some people just hate. Um,
cilantro,
yeah, it's kind of like that. Maybe there's something for me that like
maybe.
whatever this is, I smell it and I taste
I,
it and I hate
and I
it.
hate it. Oh,
And other
interesting.
people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. It just tastes
Yeah,
like beer.
yeah, because I didn't taste that at all. But let's start with El Jefe. So it's
This wasn't
like
good. This
the
wasn't good either.
it's like the lowest silver I could possibly get.
Okay, so
Like
that's how I feel about jet lag, and this one was, I think, like silver for
yeah,
sure, but and not
like
upper silver, but like
I would drink most things over it, I think. I don't know if I would like spit it out and pour it on the ground because I did just go instead of going like, "Oh, I'm going to put this down." I was like, "All right, we got to finish this thing so I can get to the
right,
next
yeah.
one." So I don't know if it was the second one if I would have just like left it let it let it sit, but like
No, this wasn't good.
no. Not good.
I don't know if I was necessarily picking up the off flavors. It, but it did taste like an incorrectly made. That's the only thing I could feel like. This is just like a
Something's
poorly
wrong.
made Mexican.
Yeah.
Like something's wrong with this. Yeah.
Yeah. While the jet lag relief, I felt like something right happened. I don't know.
Nice. Yeah.
I
Well, what'd you think? What's your rating for that?
That's hard though. Like it's hard because the rest of it because it's obviously so far away. I'm not really gonna be able to get more of this.
Yeah.
But
True.
is it really gold? I feel like if I have another one of these in my fridge that you gave me, and
Mm.
I'm gonna drink it next. Like that's what I'm gonna do right after this. So
Okay,
I
it's
feel like
probably
it's like a
platinum, right?
platinum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You have
I'm
to like that's the what we have to do for these overseas beers is like instead of just will drink again, it's like would drink again. Like
Yeah.
if it was
Like
easily accessible,
if it
would
was
you?
right here next to you, right?
Yeah. If it was
And
in your fridge, you had another one, would you
yeah.
drink it?
And I'm gonna drink this one, and then El Jefe will be in the back of my fridge for whenever I run
Forever,
out
yeah.
of things to drink. So
Or when you have a few beers deep already, and you're like, whatever.
exactly, yeah, yeah. But not tonight. No, no, no.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but Jet, like you're saying that this is like almost bronze,
Yeah,
or
but
basically.
I did notice like this is it,
You
it's
do think
just
the cilantro
an
thing?
off it wasn't an off flavor. Like El
Yeah,
Jefe was poorly made was what my thought was.
yeah.
And this was more like there's something in this that I don't like.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
And it's a little fruity too. It's kind of like I think it might be the hops, but there's some fruitiness in it. But to me, I couldn't even put a finger on it, but like it's like some sort of fruit has gone sour or bad or something. And
Ah, I
that's
got
kind of the
it.
flavor I'm getting
So that
from
feels
it.
just like these. It just feels like those are basically bronze. I know you finished the beers, but you're basically saying these are bronze.
Yeah, I did not care for either of these.
Yeah. All right. Well,
But I also didn't puke or dump
that's
them
true.
out. So
But I don't know. How many times have you had a beer? Well, I was gonna say how many times have you had beer and you've puked afterwards, but that's just a
yeah, it's
different
like
question.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
not the
that's
same
not.
thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. But so maybe we need to pull back on how harsh bronze is, so we don't feel as bad giving
I
it to
would
people.
say that too, except that I did encounter a bronze in the wilds just
That's true.
pretty
That you
recently, and
literally
I was
poured out. Yeah,
yeah, it's
where
like
it's
I
like
do not want this.
I'm literally not gonna finish this beer. It's so funny because I have a friend of mine who is like doesn't drink a ton, but sometimes he'll like have like half of his beer and be like, "Oh, that was enough," and just pour out
Yeah,
the rest. And the just because like I don't need anymore. And I
yeah.
was like, I have a
Every
specific
beer is bronze,
yeah.
dude.
Every single beer is pour like you can pour it down the drain and you're fine. And I'm
Yeah,
like, that is just not the way I function, man. You
yeah, I
gotta
would
finish that.
never do that,
I would never do that.
especially when the beer is probably like $5.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly. Gotta drink the whole thing. And just throw $2.50 down the drain. Come
Yeah,
on. Yeah. Anyway, Jeff, let's go to closing time. Let's wrap this whole happy hour up.
do it.
If you want to talk to us about beers that you think are horrible, or the bronzest beers you've ever tasted, you can always find us at Arena Regulars. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky.
May also find us on Arena itself under the username Arena Regulars Podcast.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at the regular _ Zach. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, as well as Blue Sky and Twitch and all the different places. But Jeff, where can I find you?
Best place is our Discord channel if you want to come share your thoughts about Dragonstorm or about beers. Come to our Discord channel, it's the best place to do it. Plus, once a month, we run an MTG Arena Peasant Cube. It's a lot of fun, not too hard on your wild cards, and it's really well designed, honestly. It's top-notch limited. So come play, and we'd love to have you.
That's right. Lots of fun. And if you want to leave a review for the podcast because you like it so much, please do that. Apple Podcasts and Spotify have places you can leave comments. Go to YouTube, leave a comment there as well. All of it means a lot to us because really, like, that helps the SEO and it helps, like, the podcast things. But we just want to hear what you think of the show. And so we'd love to hear your thoughts. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that next time I'm gonna beat Zach so bad, the pack one pick one, that no matter which tiebreaker rare he picks, he won't have a shot.
Good night. All right, that's fine.